Welcome to the Holding Priority Podcast, the Magic the Gathering CDH podcast. I'm Cardboard Cryptid.
And I'm the Gaming Ghost.
On today's episode, we'll discuss our tournament recap for the 10K Dallas Excalibur event.
It was a really fun tournament.
Yeah. We'll go over a little bit more than that, but meat and potatoes will pretty much just be how well we did in the big 200-person tournament.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, let's go into the shuffle up. It's going to be a good episode. It's on time today.
On point, yeah.
We got a couple new comments. We got one from Kyle Wheeler, 1821. Another good episode. Guys, please keep it going. Always love hearing that. Cully Kniff 1776. I think wording it correctly is the way to go. Honestly, to new players, I do feel I have to be a little bit more technical, but during a tournament, it's hard not to be lawyer-like. That's on our Winning in CDH podcast. If you guys haven't checked that out, go check it out. There we kind of talk about our win windows and not really realizing that, our next one would be a tournament podcast where we did really well.
It was all pre-planned.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of competition.
We're geniuses. And that's pretty much it. Just a reminder that we do have our link tree. From there, we do have a TCG player link. I have seen that you guys are clicking on it and using it. Definitely one of those things that helps the podcast out the most, and it's no cost to you. Also, just watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, setting the podcast to auto download. All of that stuff helps. Also, just checking out our deck lists on Moxfield. That is in the link tree as well. I saw that Rocco got a little bit of love after the Dallas tournament. I didn't really feel like I placed well enough to get some love, but I guess I was the only Rocco at the event that placed well. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And then just a reminder, we have our social media and YouTube on there. This will be a podcast-friendly episode. We will have a visual component on YouTube. Apparently, there's a new hype feature on YouTube that if you have less than 500 followers or 5,000 followers, people can hype the video up within the first 7 days that it's out. I don't know if we qualify. If we don't, this is just an FYI, but if you see the button there, it's supposed to be there for pushing newer channels or smaller channels up in the ranks so that they get more algorithm feed. I just thought that was pretty cool. That's a new thing that they started a couple months ago.
That's pretty interesting.
I think we're not there yet, but if we are there by the time you see this episode on YouTube, please press that button. Before we get into the tournament talk, there was a ban announcement or a ban update on February 9th. We had talked about doing a bonus episode for it, but then the ban announcement came out and it was kind of, I'm not going to say nothing, but didn't really affect CDH at all. We could have put an episode out, a bonus episode, but I feel like it kind of would have been more clickbait than anything. And that's kind of been one of our complaints about the current state of content creators. So I was like, let's not do that.
I had seen, not to name any names, but there was a video with a jeweled lotus in the back.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's clearly to get the eye.
Yeah.
No, this banning thing was, I don't think had very much weight in CEDH at the moment.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and put the cards up. So Biorhythm, that was unbanned. If you're watching on YouTube, it's there on the screen. For the podcast listeners, Biorhythm is a 6 generic green sorcery. Each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls. I saw people talking about doing Cyclonic Rift on your opponent's end step and then going into untap, playing a land, and then playing Biorhythm. So it's 7 mana on one turn, 8 mana on the next, and then you win. But the thing about that is Dryad Arbor is a thing, and Cyclonic Rift says all non-land permanents. So you could just lift everybody's stuff, and then you're 1v1 in with the green deck that had a Dryad Arbor, or all the flash creatures, like people left mana open, so they're just like, okay, Biorhythm on top of Biorhythm. I'm gonna play my Orcish Bowmaster, like stuff like that, where it's like you're not really gonna kill anybody with Biorhythm. We do have a card in the format that already does Biorhythm things. Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. It's a creature, human shaman, 2 generic and a green. Tap, add 2 mana and any combination of colors to your mana pool. Send this mana only to cast creature spells. And then it has the ability Formidable, which is 9 generic, green. Tap, each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls. Activate this ability only if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater. I do actually run this in Rocco. If someone plays the One Ring, I kind of found that it was I had a hard time killing them. But then I realized that with Enduring Vitality, I could basically just get infinite hasty creatures, and instead of swinging them, I could start playing things that just stole everybody's creatures. And then at the very end, when I had everybody's creatures, tap Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, and because it sets everybody to 0 besides me, I'd be at 10 billion or something crazy. But
That's nuts.
because it doesn't target, it would kill people with the One Ring. So we basically already had Biorhythm on a creature. It made sense to unban it, but I don't really think we're going to see sweeping changes, because no one's really running Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, even though it's a 3-cost mana dork that taps for 2 mana and then also does that. So pretty low impact for us. I mean, still cool. The other one was Lutri, the Spell Chaser, 1 generic, and then hybrid blue-red, legendary creature, Elemental Otter. It has a companion, which it is banned as companion still. Each non-land card in your starting deck has a different name, which
Commander.
Makes sense. That's Commander. It has Flash. When Lutri, the Spell Chaser, enters the battlefield, if you cast it, which is important, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control, which is also important. You may choose new targets for the copy. It's a 3/2. So you can't really do... what's the red mage that goes infinite with copy effects?
You're talking about... was it? It's not Snapcaster. Dualcaster?
Dualcaster, yeah. You can't Dualcaster combo with this, so you can't really Dualcaster Lutri in the command zone. There is a blue spell that's 2 generic and a blue that basically exiles a creature, and as long as it's exiled, you may cast it for no mana, which kind of just results in infinite ETBs. It's a legendary creature, so even if you found a way to copy it over and over and over again, found a way to copy it and cast it over and over again, it would still die to legend rule. I'm not really thinking this will have too big of a format, too big of an impact as for our unbans. I have seen people kind of brewing it as a commander, but I mean, when you have Vivi and Raul, yeah.
Maybe Azula. Meh.
Yeah, because you'd get doubles, so you'd get double ETBs, but only one of them would exist. Oh no, because you'd only cast one. Yeah, I don't know. yeah.
I don't know. I was like, maybe Azula wants this.
I've seen people, just because it's new and shiny, trying to build it as a commander, and I've seen some kind of cool brews, but outside of cool brews, don't really think it'll make an impact. I know there's a lot of casual players that are like, yay, I can have an otter themed deck again. Yeah, just Lutri deserved an unban. I get why it was banned. It was just easy to say hey, this card can't be a companion, so it's just banned. But they started adding banned as companion, Maybe they'll expand that to banned as commander one day. Who knows? And then before I put this card on the screen or even talk about it, this was not unbanned. They just talked about it in the ban announcement as something that they wanted to gather feedback for. And one of the Commander Council people, Rebel, put out a video that was all about why they had talked about unbanning this card. I just want to be super clear. Not unbanned. Still banned.
I mean, if you're in it now and it's 10 minutes in,
yeah,
we're clickbaiting you here.
Oh, yeah. 10-minute clickbait, but boom. Gristlebrand. 4 generic, 4 black. Legendary creature demon. Flying lifelink. Pay 7 life, draw 7 cards. It's a 7/7. I thought that this card was banned everywhere, but when I pulled it up on Scryfall, it's only banned in Commander and Oathbringer. There's other like formats where it's like not legal, which is different. But Commander is the only format. Commander-like formats is the only one that has Gristlebrand banned, which, I mean, Entomb, Reanimate, pay 7 life, draw 7 cards is kind of OP.
Yeah, to me, this was the big hitter on the list of cards that they were discussing. This card here is a beast for black decks. Any black deck, any deck that has black in it that uses Reanimate. This is one of those crazy. I wouldn't say it's like. Well, it is kind of like Necro.
You're pretty much going to always just go in deep and draw 28 cards when you get them, because you lose 8 whenever you reanimate them. So you'll go down to 32, and you can only pay 7 life at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, if this got unbanned, I wouldn't say every single deck would run Entomb, Reanimate, and Gristlebrand, but like when you started building a black deck, that would be the first 3 cards you would add every time, along with your tutors. And
Yeah, I think the list would be like Demonic Tutor, Dark Ritual. This would be in the top like 15 cards I would think about. And I have a really pretty printing of Gristlebrand out of the Innistrad.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of cool arts for him too. I remember whenever we were doing the wrap up, he got printed in a secret layer as well. And it was like, every card was pretty much legal except Gristlebrand too. I mean, I would probably go back to playing Hashaton if Gristlebrand got unbanned. Like,
so silly.
Yeah, I mean, three for a 4/4 Gristlebrand, just draw 28 cards, like, would be the best thing to drop. Like, I think previously Jingataxis was probably one of the best things to drop. Maybe Consecrated Sphinx, but like, I mean, this would be insane. I would definitely go back to Hashaton if this got unbanned. That being said, I do not want to deal with this. I do not think it should be unbanned. That's my feedback to Wizards and my my feelings on it. Would it be cool? Yeah, like I'll give it to them.
I have an old version of this that's been in a box for like 10 plus years.
Yeah,
that I'd love to play.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we were doing pre-releases when this guy was first printed. And I remember you and I didn't get them at the pre-release, but then we went to a comic book store and we opened them, and I was excited, and I was thinking about building a Friday Night Magic deck with it. And then I looked it up and I realized it was banned already. And I was just like, I just got him out of a pack. Like, how is he banned?
Yeah, I think it went straight from the pack to banned.
Well, it was also crazy because he was like very pivotal to the story in Innistrad as well, and it was just like, yeah, he's banned. Okay.
Yeah, but no, it's. I think this is one of the questions about some of these creatures that are pretty crazy. Is something that is worth noting in this.
Yeah.
There is quite a few cards on. Not to go into too many, but there's quite a few cards that have been banned that don't make sense to be banned now.
Yeah, like Coalition Victory, whenever Thassa's Oracle was printed, was kind of their example of like, why is this still banned? Like, yeah. I'm glad that they're looking at it. I hope that Gristlebrand stays we just thought it would be cool, but we're not going to do it, like, type of thing.
Or it's only unbanned in like bracket 3s or something.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of funny.
And then just for some insight, I did listen to a couple of the Commander Council people talk about why they didn't ban Rhystic Study, because a lot of people were like asking for it, and basically it came down to, well, we banned Jeweled Lotus and Mana Crypt whenever it was like the premier chase rare, and we couldn't do that with Rhystic Study because it was printed as a chase rare in Eldraine, I believe. And if we banned Rhystic Study, we'd be doing the same thing. And Rhystic Study is not a card that you could ban and take to another format. Like, it's only good in Commander. So it was kind of a like, well, because the cards cost $60, we're not banning it, which felt weird. I don't think Rhystic Study should be banned. I mean, if it was banned, Atali, Rogsai, there'd be so many like turbo, like you would just see a turbo meta when there's nothing in the way of people just free casting. You know, what's the point? I'm all for not banning Rhystic Study personally, but one of their big reasons was, well, we put it up as a chase rare and we're not going to do that to you guys for a second time, which I thought was a cool reason. I would have liked to hear more just, hey, if we ban it, do you want to go against a pot of 3 Atalis every tournament, or Atali Rogsai? Yeah.
Also, and I may be misquoting, I'm not trying to do so, but when I watched the information from Gavin, the feedback they received was inconclusive. So it was right down the middle. Yes, people hated it. No, people wanted it. Like,
I think that was the hybrid mana change.
it was that, and
and Rhystic?
I believe
Okay.
so. I believe it was a lot of those ones that they were kind of talking, or maybe it was Thassa. It might have been Thassa.
I think they kind of lump both because, I mean, they're both basically CDH cards.
Similar, yeah. But yeah, I mean, in higher play, like, does it feel bad when there's a Rhystic Study on the field? If it's mine, no. Like,
yeah.
I mean, and games get played that way.
If I have a Notion Thief, no.
Yeah.
And they did. I completely forgot about the hybrid mana. They didn't push it just because they basically did a 1 through 5. Like, how do you feel about it? 1 being I hate it, 5 I love it, and it was pretty much a 20% split on every single one. So they had said that right now they're not going to do it. It's a question that comes up all the time. Gavin said it basically has always come up the entire time that they have had Commander as a format, and they'll keep going back to it, but as of right now, doesn't really make sense. I don't want it to happen just because it's confusing.
Yeah, it sounds confusing to me.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, I felt like it was a pretty good ban update. Me and Ghost thought that we were doing a tournament and it would be like the last big tournament of the format, and then the format would change after the bans.
I'm very happy.
Very happy it was pretty much a no updates.
We're gonna put this out.
Yeah.
Probably won't see it.
Yeah. We'd actually just talked about like doing an emergency bonus episode just in case it was crazy, and we had even thought about like putting out a 5-minute episode, but it just didn't make sense. So we're gonna kind of tack it onto this one, and now that we're 19 minutes in, we're gonna go to our actual podcast.
Yeah.
So if you can't tell yet, we do have the Con Ick. There was a lot of people there. There was 200 people in Dallas, and it was February, which is prime season for sickness. So yeah, we got the Con Ick. Kind of going to just our tournament recap. I would say maybe a month ago we had a pretty big tournament in Houston.
I don't even know if it was a month ago.
Yeah, it's kind of blended together.
It feels like a few weeks. We could say a month.
Yeah, we went to a 64-person tournament in Houston, and it was pretty big. There was a lot of competition, but it was a lot of local people. I think we brought about 10 of our own people locally to the tournament, and it was 64. It was also like a place that we play a lot of tournaments, and we didn't do too well.
Horrible.
Whenever I think I did like technically the best in the group at 28th out of everybody. It was tough. I felt like everybody kind of knew what Rocco was doing and how to shut Rocco down. And everybody knew that I was going to push really early. So everybody had looked at each other and been like, do you have a force wheel? Do you have a mind break trap? Do you have a mental misstep? Like, he's going. And immediately, like the moment I sat down, I kind of felt like all eyes were on me. If not people just telling everybody at the table what my deck list was, basically. So, yeah, I didn't do too well. I'd gotten through on the last game. I think I ended with like 7 points, which out of 5 rounds isn't what I'm used to doing. Around 10 or 11 is kind of what I'm used to. Yeah, it was a tough event. I'd kind of looked at my deck list and I changed a couple things around. I definitely had a couple of, I'm not going to say pet cards, but there were certain cards that I was just like, well, this is a two cost mana dork that has a three toughness butt on it. And I was like, do I really need a 2 cost mana dork that just taps for 1? I don't think so. I think I'd rather just be running an Elfish Mystic or a Findhorn Elf or, stuff that I don't have. Went back to the drawing board and we had practiced quite a lot before this Dallas tournament. You can go ahead and talk about your run in the Houston tournament.
So I had somewhat of my own brew on Kennen, and not that it was terrible, but I did end up seeing some major issues with it. One being Seedborn Muse. Not that Seedborn Muse is a bad card, but trying to convince a table that I'm not big flips Kennen and having 3 flips a turn or a rotation is kind of hard to do.
And I think like you had brought up a good point when we were talking about it, where because that was in your deck, when you had a Kennen spin, you were doing it on your end step because you were always just like, well, I could keep the mana up, but what if it's a Seedborn Muse?
Yeah, and it wasn't just Seedborn. It was
Consecrated.
Well, I kept Consecrated, but there's...
Well, I'm just saying, like, you would spin at your end step in case it was Consecrated, yeah.
Well, mainly the Seedborn, but that and a few other cards that it just kind of didn't fit. And I like I said, I placed pretty low on that one. But it was mostly fiddle and diddles. I couldn't find a win. And changing more closely to the no bad cards, it's not exactly, but it's close. It's was running a lot better in this new tournament we did.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of felt like I had lost my brewer's advantage on Rocco in that tournament. And once I'd been playing that deck for about like 2 months, 3 months maybe in that circuit. And I was like, oh, okay, pretty much everybody I sit down with knows that I top 16 most of these tournaments. It just kind of felt like they were like, hey, his deck is made of paper. If you can stop him once, then we have a chance.
Yeah.
And they're not wrong. Like, I'm not gonna say like the jig was up with Rocco, but kind of felt like that. And I needed to either really overhaul the deck or maybe move to something else to freshen things up. But we had practiced a lot. A lot of our local group had been kind of like swapping out of decks. We had about 2 to 3 decks that we were playing around with. I started to build Ashling, which I just quickly figured out that 5 colors not for me. I'm not that smart. Ultimately, I decided to stay with Rocco. I was like, I haven't really gotten enough practice on other decks, and this is at the time it was a 100-person tournament, and the day we went in, it was 199 people, which was
it's crazy.
Biggest one we've ever done. And we've traveled like quite a bit to do over 100 people, so it was kind of cool that just a little drive away, like not little, like several hours, but you know, a half day drive, we could be at this 200 person tournament with like a lot of special guests, a lot of streamers, like it was really cool. A lot of big names there.
Side note, um, I I don't recognize streamers that well, and it's funny because anytime we go somewhere, Cryptid's like, that was this person and that was this person. I was like, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I did recognize somebody at this one.
Yeah.
It was the guy that was hosting the recording thing. We watched some of their videos. I just can't remember.
Oh, was it Higher from Playing with Power?
It wasn't Playing with Power. It was like um
Oh, the Shoutcast guy.
Mana. I feel bad.
Yeah.
Let me back out of this
Yeah.
one. But I recognized him. It was a guy that we had watched. It's two guys they talk about.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, his name was Joel, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And yeah, normally I try not to like name big names that I play against, but I'm gonna give an exception to this one because they were featured guests, so they kind of went in knowing that they were like gonna be talked about. So in this one, I will say the person's name, but I did get to go against a lot of really cool people. Do you want to go into your first round?
yeah. So prior to our first round, real quick, we had hyped each other up, and we were like, we're getting our first win.
Yeah.
We're gonna go in, get the wins early, cruise through the end.
Yeah, we woke up about 6:30 in the morning. Woke up, made sure we were totally awake, and once I woke up, I was like, I want to catch everybody while their pants are down. Like, I want to get in. My deck is a deck that tries to get in, so while everybody's sleepy and kind of like still getting their feelers for the day, I want to go in completely awake. So we did a couple practice rounds. We had a light breakfast, like a very hearty breakfast, but it was still light enough to where like we didn't have the itis going into round one. We had done a couple 1v1s just to kind of practice to see how quickly we could push, and it was back and forth. Like we were both pushing around turn 3 or 4. But it was definitely like mostly just practicing the mulligans, making sure that we could get there with the hands that we were keeping. And went right into the tournament. We had a player meeting, which was kind of normal, but they were handing slips out that were like the slips you fill out for when you win. And when I sat down, I'd gotten sat down with one of my friends that's like one of the best Magna players that I've ever known.
Yeah.
And then Atali and then something else. And I was just like, oh my God, I do not want this to be my first pod. And then they did the player meeting, and then they completely reorganized everybody and they took the slips away. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Like, because I was seat 4 also. But you can go into your round 1.
So my round 1 was seat 1 was Yuriko, seat 2 was Blue Farm, seat 3 was Rog Thras, and then seat 4 was me. So going into this one, I was like, oh no, I'm seat 4. But the Yuriko pretty much dominated almost the entire match. But Yuriko is a little bit slower on average, unless you just toss it out. So like the game plan for Yuriko is swing, show the top card, do some damage, put a stacks piece, put a piece out. They had played on turn 1 Grafdiggers, and I was like, well,
okay, I'm green. Bye.
Yeah. And then like turn 3 or turn 2, they dropped a curse totem, and I was like, me and the Rog Thras looked at each other, and Rog Thras was set to win.
Yeah.
Like I could see it in the view that Rog Thras was cooking with Crisco. They were moving. Blue Farm had one land and was going to play a fish and got mental misstepped and blown out of the game. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely gone.
Sometimes that happens. Like,
And the guy was like, "I'm sorry, man." And he's like, "Yep. I mean, it happens." But uh, me and this Rog Thras looked at each other, and we're like, we could just beat
Yeah.
Yuriko to death.
we're friends now. Yeah.
Unbeknownst to this player, I had everything I needed to win on top of them.
Mm.
So I had a High Fae Trickster, which I played turn 3, and I was like, well, I have this. I can just smack them for 4 now. And they were like, this is great. And
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, yeah. And then I had War of Invention and like a few other key pieces to just win. The Yuriko player got beat down with combat damage, and it was me and the Rog Thras, and I ultimately won by putting out a basalt and then letting them know, well, since I can't attack you as past my combat, I'll have to win by endurance loops. So no matter what you got going on now, unless you can stop it at this moment, it's over. Like, I'll endurance your entire deck away. Like, it'll be gone. Like, I'll draw you out with Fairy Mastermind, endurance my stuff back 2 on the stack, so I'll always have cards you won't. I'll have, was it Veil of Summer? So I was completely protected. I was 100%.
Anytime you try to do something to me, I'll just make you draw, and it'll fall off the stack when you die. So, yeah.
But they were like, well, I guess you got it. And they, before that turn, in their eyes, they had the game.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Poor player.
Yeah.
I shot their hopes down. But it was just a good win. It was clean.
My round 1 was kind of similar to my player meeting. So I sat down with one of the best Magda players that I know, in the area. And I was like, oh man, I did not want to see you today. And then I sat down, and seat 1, I'm seat 2. Seat 1, one of the best Kenrith players I've ever played. Like, really good elo, owns the events that we go to. And I was just like, yep, and you had to be seat 1. So it was Kenrith seat 1, me on Rocco seat 2. Seat 3 was Daryl from The Walking Dead. And then seat 4 was Marnius. So I was looking, and I was just like, Kenrith, pretty slow. Daryl from The Walking Dead, never have seen this. And the guy, like, the entire time was like, I'm gonna draw a lot of cards. This is Blue Farm. This is Girl Blue Farm. Like, and I was just like, oh yeah, what does your deck do? And he's like, oh, let me tell you. So I was like, ooh, good information. And I know Marnius on seat 4 is kind of miserable for them to be in seat 4. Like, that's a slow deck, and then also being Esper on seat 4, like, not a great place to be. So we kind of start up, and we get to around, nothing of note really happens until about turn 3. So Marnius is on their turn 2. They have 2 lands untapped, and they passed. They're not really doing much. The guy that's on the Gruul deck, also, he had clearly been setting up. It's turn 2. So I look at Kenrith, and they have 5 mana, turn 3, seat 1. And I'm just like, man, they're going to have so much interaction for me, because I'm ready to go. Like, I've got my entire Rocco combo ready. I'll have 7 mana on my turn. I'll go get Academy Rector. I'll go get Vivian, and then I'll no-cast my win condition and send 3 billion cats at everybody. So I knew what my plan was, and then I saw that he had 5 mana, and I was just like, no, like, I'm not a huge fan of this. And he taps completely out for Kenrith. And I'm just like, okay, Kenrith, done. No mana. my turn I can push. They're not going to expect me to push because I only have 7 mana. But the spell that I have is the White Flare. That's additional cost to cast, sack a creature. So it's a free sack outlet, and it's a additional cost to cast, so they can't respond to it. And I look over, Gruul deck is tapped out. I'm looking at seat 4, and I'm just like, he's got 2 mana up, but one of them, it was basically black and white, and there was a blue between them. I think it was a black blue, and then just like a white black or something like that. So I was just like, I don't really want to push with 2 mana up. I kind of want to respect seat 4. They're keeping mana up for a reason, but this is my window. I gotta try. So cast Rocco for I cast Rocco for 7, and immediately the Kenrith player is like, "This is bad, guys. Like, this is the magic number. I know this deck." And I was just like, "Yeah." Normally, I do wait to have an open mana to push, but I did have a free sack outlet, so I kind of caught him off guard. And he's there, and he's just like, this is what he's gonna do. He can go get one of the rectors. He can sack it, and like just telling the table exactly what I'm gonna do, which, whatever, that's fair, and I play the sack outlet, and the sack outlet says that all of my permanents are indestructible and have hexproof. And the Marnius player goes, well, I can't, I need to be able to interact. So they swan song my flare. And like, to me, that's the biggest trap in my deck is I don't care if that resolves. I do not care.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, got a fish. Academy Rector, trigger on the stack. Good to resolve. And then they're like, well, if you exile the Academy Rector here, he can't exile it. So like, can anybody, do anything? Gruul deck, can you Noxious Revival it? He's like, no. And then they're like, okay, I guess we all have to pass. Go get Vivian. And I get Vivian, and the guy that's on seat 4 has 1 mana open. And he goes, we're losing here, right? And then the Kenrith player goes, yeah. And he goes, I can Demonic Consultation for an answer. And I'm just like, no, please, like, please don't do that, is what I'm thinking in my head, because it's like, yeah, he could Demonic Consultation, blow himself out, and then, what does he do? Tie? And then they start kind of talking about like, well, maybe we tie here, what's going on? And the guy he has the Demonic Consultation. He's like, I'm thinking about putting it on the stack. I just don't know what to name. And then the Kenrith player goes, oh, name swords. And I'm sitting there and I'm not saying anything because he has no mana up because he already used the counter on the flare. So he's just like, yeah, I don't run any free interaction that can deal with this. Now that I think about it, I just play the Demonic Consultation, get something in my hand, and we're losing right now, right? And they were sitting there and they were like, man, what's a free interaction in blue, white, or black that will get rid of Kiki Jiki or Fettler Guardian? And they're sitting and they're thinking, and the Kenrith player goes, oh, I know, Snuff Out. And the guy goes, nah, I don't run Snuff Out. And then everybody's just thinking and no one can come up with an answer. And I'm like, well, hey guys, we're kind of need to get the game going. No response. And they're like, nah, I guess you got it, man. And I make 3 billion cats and I send 1 billion cats at each of them, win the game. And even after, the Kenrith player's like, I did not think you would have it with 7 mana. I got greedy, I tapped out, and he shows me that he had swords in his hand, and he could have stopped me if he would have kept mana up. And I was like, yeah, not really trying to say that, I got you, but me and Ghost told each other we're going to get our first win because we're going to be awake, and everybody else is going to be kind of like still getting in the groove, but we're in the groove, we're going to be awake, we're going to try to slip in with a win real quick. And I got mine. And then I was just like, let me look through and see where Ghost is at. And I'm like, Ghost got his too. We're both starting out with 5 points. So strategy worked. Did you want to go into your round 2?
So I have my round 2 that it might be my round 3. I'm gonna let you speak on your round 2 first, because if it's the same, then we're
Okay. My round 2 was the round that we got matched in.
okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. So
Oh.
it was a 1 in 198 chance,
Okay.
and we got matched up. Yeah, I forgot about that.
That's so awesome. So it's funny because we had just talked and we were like, "Great job on your win." And he was like, "Yeah, you know." I was like, "All right, I'll see you in my next pod." And he's like, "I
I
hope
better not. Yeah, there's 199 people here. We better not be in a pod.
I literally looked down at my pod and I'm like, "Yep,
Just follow me. Yeah.
we're gonna go over here." Yeah, that's awesome. So my round 2, I'll go into it then. I was seat 1. There was a blue farm seat 2. Some
Roku, like the streaming platform. Yeah, and seat 3.
Rocco was seat 3, and there was a Ral seat 4.
And we do what we do every time that we're at a match. We show everybody that we have the same playmat. We tell them that we play together all the time. We let them know that we've been friends since kindergarten and that we would like to tie. And Blue Farm was actually pretty cool with it, seeing that there was a Kennen in seat 2. Raul was not. Raul said, "I will not tie. I'm never tying around. I would rather help someone else win and me get 0 points than tie." And I was just like, fair enough. That's admirable that you don't want to tie. We'll play the game then.
I came out the gate pretty strong. I think I ended up with 2 draw engines at some point, and there wasn't too many rounds or too many turns to this game. I think we had maybe 3 or 4 tops, and it was pretty cut and dry. Like it got to a point where we were going to be in a slog, and the the Ral was set to go off.
Yeah. And there were 2 different. So you and Blue Farm had both set up fishes. Ristic, not Ristics.
I don't think it was Ristic.
Mystic Remoras. And you had cloned a Mystic Remora as well. So there were 3 Mystic Remoras that this Ral was going to have to fight through. And we had even already offered hey, Ral, I know you need to play your game. You're going to cast into him. But with 3 fishes, you're not winning. Is the tie still sounding good? Yeah, and they were like, no, I'd actually help somebody else win. I want to see 5 points come out of this pod. It's like, okay, fair. Let's keep playing.
And I think before I go into my last turn, I think you had pushed the turn before. Like you were about to.
Yeah.
You were about to sneak it all the way through and win.
Yeah. So on turn 2, I actually forgot about this. So on turn 2, I saw that I could drop a food chain, and if it resolved, Rocco for 6 to go get Squee. So I started out with a gemstone. I laid my land. I put out the I think it was the lumberjack that kills a land for 3 mana.
You were going.
Yeah, I was going. I had food chain in hand. The problem was on my land that I went to go get, I got a taiga because that's my comfort land. Every time I crack a land, if I can go get taiga, I went and got taiga. And I knew that I could play a Feldalar Guardian and use the Feldalar Guardian to get the mana for a silence and still be able to push with my food chain. I actually had Gemstone Silence where I could have silenced Ghost on his turn 1, and I was like, I'm not. As funny as it would be to tell everybody and show everybody, I'm not. So I flicker I play the Feldalar Guardian and I go to flicker one of my permanents and I look at my gemstones and I'm just like, oh, I was banking on this gemstones to get a white, but when I flicker it, the luck counter will be gone. So I could only tap it for colorless. So I can't set up the silence that I was going to set up. I just have to drop food chain. And of course it was Ghost who had the counter and he exiled food chain.
I was hoping so. Like, I wasn't first in priority. Like,
Yeah.
I was praying that Rao had something. And he was just like, no, we're good.
You had to exile something pretty good too.
Yeah, I think it was something like Fluster. It was
like a really good card. Like I remember just being like, oh no, now both of us are.
Ooh, what was it? It might have been. It may have been one of my bigger cards, like Consecrated or something.
Yeah, it was like beefy. And I was kind of beating myself up because I was like, man, if I would have went and got a Savannah, I could have tried a silence, and then the silence would have gotten eaten up, and then I would have food chain. But turns out the blue farm player had Flusterstorm anyway, so it was one of those things where blue farm would have had to say like, "Hey, I have Flusterstorm. Don't I have." You would have had to work with the blue farm player and been like, hey, you should Flusterstorm this because I have something that'll hit an enchantment. So, like, I didn't feel super bad, but I definitely felt like I gave away a win at this point, and I was just out. Like, there was no more. Like, my food chain was gone. Maybe at some point I could get all the way back up to 7 mana. But I had gone all in to try to food chain, so I was very happy to tie at any point.
Going in after my last turn, on my last turn, the blue farm player was like, look, I can push and put a draw on the stack. I can draw this game.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why not just win?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, I'm going to have to go through both of your fish, and it's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
However, I can do that, and we could just kill Rao outright, and we can draw at the end of it.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound great, but at the end of it, for him to, I think it would have been better just to get a point.
In a tournament setting, if he would just see the win on the stack and just decide that he's going to win, he could do that. That's not against the rules. So we were a little hesitant, but it was one of those things where I was just like, I think Raul wanted to wheel or something like that. And I had worked out to where like he had a bowmaster. So he was like, I can just kill Raul. Like I can do 21 points of damage. Raul's gone. And then when Raul's gone, we three can agree to tie because he's no longer in the game. And he was kind of trying to set up Underworld Breach, and we were pretty hesitant still because it's like you could lie and take it, and he's like, how about this? Show good faith, I'll exile Thassa for my first 3, and then ended up wheeling Raul out, and then Raul called a judge and just was like, hey, I'm dead. Or like with the Bowmasters on the stack, he was like, hey, I'm dead. Once I die, if I don't accept a tie, do they have to play it out still? And the judge was like, well, when you die, you become a spectator. You're no longer allowed to talk in the match. If they 3 decide to tie, you are not allowed to influence that. So you will tie, but you'll still get the point, even though you're dead. Yeah. You're just like, man, okay. So once he was dead, Blue Farm put the tie option out again because it was their turn. And we were just like, in my case, I was like, I'm blown out. What I was going to do next is just go get oof and become a problem. Like
I was cooking, but I was really looking for, I was hoping that Blue Farm didn't have a full push.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that Raul would have tried.
Yeah.
Because if Ral tries all day, every day, I'm before Blue Farm.
Yeah, and you have 2 draws, draw
I'm going to
enchantments. Yeah.
outvalue it. My other play was going to be something kind of basic. It was going to be like put out a piece. But I was like, no, I better just play my copy enchantment on, copy enchantment? Copy
Yeah, there's
enchantment
that.
on Remora and just have 2.
Yeah. I felt a little bad about that game because I got the wrong land and just didn't think that if I flickered Gemstone, it would come back as a colorless land. And, it bit me in the butt. It was nice to know afterwards that I probably didn't whiff it. It was cool that I was able to push so early in Rocco at a like very scary pod. But at the end of the day, like trying to push and getting my food chain exiled and coming away with a point, great. Like very, very happy.
We were ready to tie at the beginning just because how most games happen with me and Cryptid is the next player wins.
Yeah.
And it's never us.
Yeah, neither of us can slip in on each other. So it becomes kind of a problem. Yeah.
And which player is that? I don't know. It's one of them.
Not us, and that's what matters.
But yeah, that one ended in a draw.
Yeah. So we're both at 6 points.
6 points.
And then round 3 started. Did you want to do yours, or I have mine up if you need some more time?
I'm looking at all of them, but it's up to you.
Yeah, you can go then.
So my round 3, it was me again in first seat. Rogsai, Rogthras, Vilethras. I was looking around and I was like, this is horrible for me because there's so much turbo here.
Oh, one thing that I forgot to say. So 7 points guaranteed you to play in day 2. Yeah, so after 2 rounds, we were on a high because we had 6 points. All we had to do was tie in 3 rounds to get to day 2.
Yeah. But so I play my turn. I get to some value, not a whole lot, but some. And then I pass to Rogsai, and Rogsai goes off like crazy.
As Rogsai does. Like
something happened though. He blew out somewhere in the combo.
A lot of Rogsai is, well, I'm going to wheel, and I just hope I get the piece that I need in the wheel.
Yeah, so it didn't happen. Rogsai had kind of felt like the game was over. Like not fully over, but like, okay, well, my opportunity is gone. And Rogthras and Vilethras had went down to like 4 and 5 cards.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh no. But I go into my next turn. After they go, they just put out like lands and maybe a mana dork or something. But my next turn, I set up pretty good. Like I think I get a Remora out, and Rogsai tries again, gets to the end of it, and then goes, I'm cool with tying. And surprisingly, because us other 3 players look at each other and we're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, not that I was just wanting to tie, but after Rogsai blew out, like, we were gonna, it was gonna be a slog, and I didn't know what was in their hands. And when they went, they obviously had pretty bad hands too.
Yeah.
So
you were stocked up with your fish, and they had stocked up as well.
I had a fish out.
Yeah.
But they're like, their board states weren't in any position to cast more than like a spell a turn. And
you couldn't win with your hand.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have anything, and then I was missing a land drop, so my fish was gonna die. So,
yeah. Okay.
Like that's when he wheeled the first one, like no lands.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, it was the best option for us three, and Rogsai got to try
Yeah,
and failed.
yeah. And then once Rockside tries and fails, they're kind of out. Yeah.
It was a hard try, but it just didn't go through.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm at 6 points, and the secret about me on Rocco, I do not like to go first. I do not like to be first chair. Everybody kind of looks at me, and it's a scary deck because they know that I'm going to go pretty quickly. So I'm used to everybody just being like, "We need to stop him." Yeah. And then the other thing about being first, I can't mulligan for Gemstone, which makes me sad.
Hmm.
So it was me in seat one on Rocco, Arkham, Dagson, the mono blue artifacts deck, Bant Aang on seat three, which I know is kind of just set up stacks and then just clone, win. And then Sisse on seat four. And I'm looking around, and I know that I've played against the Sisse before. It was a while ago, but they're a really good player. Everybody is ranked pretty well that's at my table, which, I mean, everybody has a minimum of 5 points that early, so everybody's pretty good. I'm just like, I don't really know. But I do see my turn one is a Savannah or no, not a Savannah, a Plateau and an Orcish Lumberjack. And I'm just like, oh, I can go get the forest turn two. So everyone will basically be like, well, he's not really a threat because we're not going to mental misstep this Orcish Lumberjack because he doesn't have a forest. And I play my Plateau, I play the Orcish Lumberjack. Everybody is like, that's a pretty good turn one. And I'm like, yeah, not so great if you don't have a way to back it up though with a forest. And they're like, fair enough, and they all pass. And I'm like, oh my god, did I just get an Orcish Lumberjack? Like, did no one have a mental misstep? uh so the person in seat two, they play Urza Saga, 2 0 cost artifacts, and their hand's pretty empty. And I'm like, oh man, a colorless land and like 2 artifacts. They're not really setting up to counter me, so like that's good. Uh Bantang doesn't really set up anything that I'm afraid of. And then Sisse on seat four. I'm not gonna say that they're defeated, but like they're definitely in a like I'm playing my own game, like don't expect me to help. But I mean it's Sisse on seat four. So turn two, I look at my hand, and I forgot to say I have food chain in my hand again. So I shock in my green white land. I tap for a green, play a dork. I sack that land for 3 green, play food chain. And everybody's just like, yeah, I don't have anything for food chain. And they're like, yeah, we're all tapped out. I mean, we're all just building. It's turn two, what do you got there? You got maximum of 5 mana right now. Like, I'm not too sure what he does with 5 mana in a food chain. And I sack both of my creatures for 4 green, and I play an Enduring Vitality. And then I'm like, I can step up my creatures. So I have a green floating, I have a red and a white as an option. I sack the Enduring Vitality for 4. I have all 3 colors, Rocco for 3, bring out, and I go, Rocco for 3. Are we all good? Do you guys concede? And they're like, well, what do you get for 3? And I'm like, if I'm proposing a win, it's Squee. And then they're like, oh, okay, like go get Squee. And I get Squee, and I just look at everybody, and I'm like, can I propose infinite creature mana, or do I need to play it out? I'm happy to play it out if you guys need me to. And then they're like, yeah, go ahead and get the infinite creature mana. And then the other guys are just like, I'm not even gonna pretend. I'm good. I concede. And then the guy across from me that's on Arkham Dagamson is like, yeah, I didn't want to give it to you so early, but yeah, I concede. Like turn 2 food chain. What are we gonna do? And I was like, if it makes you feel any better, first thing I would go get is Grand Abolisher, and then from there under protection, like there's a lot of things I could do. I'm gonna propose Kiki Feldalar Guardian kill you all with 3 billion cats, and they're like, yeah, cool, you got it. And it was funny because the guy, he set out his tablet, and his tablet was at 19%. And he was like, I don't know if it'll last throughout the game. And I was like, well, I actually have like, a battery pack. And I was like, if you want, here you go. You can plug it in. You can get some battery like while we play. And he takes the battery pack out, gives it back to me because the guy that was on Sisei was like, I don't really want to play for fun. Like, I kind of want to just get some like mental break, which I was like, that's fair. I just wanted to offer since I won so quickly. And he looks at his tablet and goes, 21%. Thanks for the 2% charge. Like starts putting everything up. And I was just like, okay, cool. Round 3. I'm at 11 points. I'm doing great. Undefeated, 2 wins in 3 rounds. All I need to get is one more win throughout the day, and I'm top 16. So yeah, my round 3 was a win, and I was pretty excited about it. And just to push the Discord a little bit more, while we were playing, we do have like a tournament chat part in the Discord, and I was taking pictures of every round, and then not really going into like the meat and potatoes, but every round I was live tweeting, I guess you would say, each of my rounds and then the results. So a lot of the people in the Discord was just like, oh yeah, 11 points, hell yeah.
So just to recap on my points here, I got 5 from the first one. I drew the second one, so I'm at 6. I drew the third one, so I'm at 7. Going into round 4. Seat 1 was Kennen, not me. Seat 2 was Yashodel. Seat 3 was Kennen, me. And then seat 4 was Timmy D or Tim Nadargo. Going into this game was a little different because I'm looking at Tim Nadargo and I'm always a little scared of it. Like, am I like uber scared? No, but it's there.
Yeah.
And Kennen seat 1 always has more advantage.
But everybody's looking at you like, Kennen seat 1, let's shut him down.
Yeah, well, yeah. But Yashodel was kind of holding the game together because seat 1 started to mana ramp. Turn 1, Yashodel kind of got some mana out and like a rock. And then on me, Kennen, I got a rock. And my game plan was just to put out a Rhystic Study as fast as I could. Or copy one, because I had a copy spell as well. Tim Nadargo was just a menace. Like, started removing some pieces to the board and was building their board state in the same like move.
They can draw a deceptive amount of cards too.
It was silly. And it looked like Tim Nadargo was gonna win it like turn 2 or turn 3. And Kennen dropped like or flipped into like a Hullbreaker Horror.
And there were 2 Kennens at this spot.
Yeah,
right?
it was the other Kennen.
Yeah, okay.
Going into that with a Hullbreaker Horror just pushed the game into a really weird state. And Yashodel pretty much blew themselves out. Like they didn't really have much after turn 2. Turn 3, I got a Cabbage Man out. Or turn 2, I got a Cabbage Man out.
Heck yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah. Got a total of like 2 cabbages. I was like, what is going on here?
I have yet to have that card do me right. Yeah.
Kennen pretty much had was gonna have win next turn, and Tim Nadargo was like, look, I can silence you on your turn if we go into Yashodal's turn, I think that they have Thassa combo. And if not, Kennen may win too. They're going to untap with, all of these
Foods and draws.
foods.
And,
but because with the Hullbreaker Horror, they were bouncing and playing a lot of spells, and but she wasn't wrong. I think by the end of my Cabbage Man, I had like 10 cabbages, so I was getting there.
Yeah, that's a guy's cradle. Yeah,
I was trying. Tim Nadargo offers a draw. Kennen looks at it and he's like, I really don't want to, but I don't think I can make it through the next 2 turns.
I would, it would be tough because I'd be like, well, I can bounce your silence. Like,
they were completely tapped. Like, so they were using, Kennen was using the spells to bounce Tim Nadargo's stuff. So that Tim Nadargo wasn't winning because they were still trying to push.
Yeah.
And I guess at one of their last draws they got out of somewhere, they pulled a silence.
Yeah.
And with the silence, I was like, I can show you that I have a counter spell and I will counter whatever you try to do to push the silence away. And Kennen was like, I don't want to, but and then Yashodal was like super quiet.
Yeah.
And they were like, I'll show you my Thassa combo.
Yeah.
And Kennen was like, well, yep, I'll take a draw.
Yeah.
So I'm at 8 points now. What?
7.
8? No. Because win, draw. So I was at 7 there. So I'm at 8 points now. I went in with like.
So we're talking about round 3.
Was it round 3?
Yeah.
No. Because round 3 was Vile Smasher. I already went into round 3. I'm in round 4 right now.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, I can go my round. Oh, no, yeah, because you always go first. Yeah. So you're at 8. Yeah. Sorry. The con crud is messing with my brain a little bit. So my round 4, pretty crazy. So I'm at table 5, table 4. I'm way at the front. Was almost the featured match, but I was a table away from it. But Max from Winning In is there, and we play against him. And the cool thing about the Excalibur event is if you played against one of the featured players, if you won, you got like a mystery prize. But if they won, they would give out the mystery prize to whoever they felt like was second or, deserved it the most or whatever. So I look, I'm seat 4. No bueno. Rog size in seat 1. Max from Winning In, he's on TNT. He's seat 2. There's a Glarb on seat 3, and then me, Rocco, seat 4. So I'm looking at Turbo seat 1, Control, Turbo seat 4, which is not a good formula for me. Rogsai starts out doing Rogsai things. They're pushing, they're setting up. It's pretty clear that the other 2 people are stopping them quite a bit, and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty worried about Rogsai, but the fact that TNT and Glarb are just keeping them on such lockdown means that they're control decks. So I'm not playing. I'm not going to slip in. Like Rogsai is not going to be able to eat up enough interaction. I'm pretty sure they're flush with counter spells. I need to keep a pretty smart hand. So I have Dranith, and I play Dranith pretty much right away. I don't think it was a turn 1 Dranith, but I played Dranith so quickly no one had commanders out. Clearly Rog was out, but you know, Draneth, even with Rog out, stops them from doing Underworld Breach combo, which is pretty big, you know. So everybody's just kind of looking at my Draneth and they're like, this is a problem. Like, Draneth needs to get removed or Rocco's going to win. And I'm just like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, like, I'm trying to play the responsible game here. Like, I'm seat 4. I could blow out, make everybody draw a bunch of cards. I'm not set up to win. You know, if I'm setting up a Rocco with no dorks on the field, like, I'm in it for the long game. And I kind of slowly convinced them that I am not just going to blow out after this Draneth. So, Rog Size kind of taking a different route where he's kind of trying to value farm a little bit more. TNT clearly wants this Draneth gone and just has not drawn cards to do it. Like the way that they're kind of like pushing it, I'm trying to defend it as much as possible, but they're really trying to set me up as a threat. Rocco seat 4 with a Draneth, which I mean I get, but to me he has such a target on my head that it's pretty much telling me he has win if Draneth is removed. And he's looking at Glarb and he's like, hey Glarb, like, we gotta get rid of this. Me and you need to get control of this game back. We need to work together to get rid of this Draneth. And I kind of look at like Rogsai and seat 1 and I'm like, are me and you buddies now? Like this is weird. And I'm really trying to convince Glarb that like TNT needs this Draneth gone very clearly, and they're not really listening to me. And I probably could have been a little bit better on politics, but to me it was kind of clear that they were like, well, this person's a creator, like I'm going to listen to them, because like he had basically said that this was his first real tournament with Glarb and he was pretty new with Glarb. So I was trying to argue my case, but I just really felt like he was not listening to me at all. And I don't really have much to defend, like why I should have a Draneth. So it gets to the point where Rogsai's good to tie. Like they're just like, I can't win. The game has gone so long. You guys have so much interaction. Like, you know, let's call this. And I go and get a Ranger captain. And in my mind, I'm like, well, if I'm getting a Ranger captain to help the table, I'm going to go get my Phyrexian Dreadnought so that I have a sack outlet. And everybody sees the sack outlet and they start freaking out because they know that that's part of my combo piece. And like, in hindsight, with how much like heat I had on me, probably not the best thing, but I had communicated like, hey, if I'm going to have double protection to stop a win, like I need something, you know, in my hand. I can't just stop all day. And they get to the point where they're just like, hey, you know, you need to sack your Ranger captain. And I'm just like, happy to do it, you know, happy to do it on anybody's turn. I don't care. If I see them going for a win, I'll crack it. I really don't care to have it on my turn. Like, I'm not sitting here waiting to crack it and then just go off. TNT targets it with something. I think it's like some damage. And I'm like, if you're going to target it, I'm just going to crack it now. Like, you know, it's pretty clear if you're doing 2 damage to it, you're going to do a third. So, you know, I'll wait for that 3rd damage, of course, but like, I'll crack it when I see the 3rd. And then they play Bowmaster, and I'm like, cool, I'll crack it. I got a little bit greedy. I played a wheel on my next turn, and I had a Lion's Eye Diamond, and I had no hand. So I was just like, I'll crack my LED for 3 green, because in my mind I was like, if I wheel into a food chain, I win here. And if not, I'll get some green creature in my hand that I can cast. And Rockside kind of wants the wheel to go through, but they're afraid of the wheel, so they decide to counter it. And I'm kind of trying to like tell them like, hey, you know, I'm not going to be able to help anymore if this wheel is countered. these guys have counter spells. If it's going to get countered, let them take care of it. But I just gotten to the point where I was kind of like, I didn't know what to do. I was out of my comfort zone, so I was like trying to push a little bit harder than I should have. I shouldn't have cracked the LED on top of the wheel, but it just felt like the thing to do. And they end up countering my spell because they're my wheel, because they're a little afraid of, the 3 mana I have floating, which granted, very clearly if I hit food chain, I was winning. They don't really do a lot. TNT is still kind of trying to set up, and then Glarb plays a Wish Claw, and they're like, well, I want to use it on this turn to go get a Necropotence. And I was like, please give me the Wish Claw. Like, I'm pretty sure that TNT has counters. I'm not going to go get a food chain. I'll go get a command tower, or I'll just let it sit on my field, and they're like, well, I want to go get a Necropotence, and I think TNT has counters. And he's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, how about I give you the Wish Claw if you commit to getting rid of Dranith, and you let me resolve a Necropotence. And the guy's like, well, I'm not going to let you just resolve a Necropotence. He's like, how about I resolve a Necropotence and I don't pull from it? And I'm just like, what? Like, you're going to resolve a Necropotence and not pull from it? So you're not going to see the cards for 3 turns? Like, what kind of deal is this? I was like, I would like to argue that I should get it and I'll hold it, or you can choose what I go get with it. Like, I don't care. I don't think we let TNT remove Dranith on his turn because it's pretty clear that he's flush with counters. So we're giving him the way to remove Dranith, and he has tons of counters to back up whatever he was needing to do with Dranith gone. And I'm pushing, there's about 10 minutes of conversation, and I feel like I'm getting to the point where I'm just kind of getting, not really like heated, but I'm just like repeating the same thing over and over again because I think my point's pretty clear. And I just decide to kind of like give up on what I'm trying to push because I didn't really know what to do. I've not really been in a situation where I was like, I feel like this is clearly the wrong move, but like me with no hand, I think he just kind of wanted to see the Dranth gone, and he was like, I'll give it to this guy. And then of course, like Rogsai's like, man, I feel like I did the wrong thing countering your wheel. I think we should have worked together. And I was like, yeah, I thought so too. But I mean, if you had a good hand, I get that you wanted to keep it. And he's like, well, I can play a fish, and then if people start going off, at least I have a fish. I can kind of help. And he plays a fish, passes to TNT Wish Claws, and they go get Abrupt Decay, uncounterable, Dranith is gone. And then from there, they play Mnemonic Betrayal. And like our graveyards are so flush. Like there's just so much stuff in our graveyards that the moment Mnemonic Betrayal resolves, he wins. And of course, like no one had any counters, so that was the end of the game. And I was just like, ugh, I really wish you would have pulled off that Necropotence to get like some steam back, so that you could counter. But I mean, I get that you wanted it to resolve, so what happened. And that one felt a little salty. But honestly, at the end of the day, I didn't know what to do with that level of play. So I kind of owned that one just because I was just like, my politics were off. I wasn't really too sure what to do in a really control-y pod where I was seat 4. I tried to play the long game, but all of my cards are so scary that it was hard to play the long game. So that one was a loss for me. So I'm still at 11 points, and we're going into round 5, and that was the last one of the day.
So my round 5, as they're like, hey, the pods are posted, we need, just for the sake of time and misremembering, they're like, hey, we need table 8 to come to the stage.
Yeah. which was like the streamed match. Yeah.
which was a streamed match. So as I'm going up, I noticed that the Kennen from my last pod is walking up to the stage too. And I was like, as we get up the stairs, I'm like, hey, looks like we have the same amount of points. We're playing again, I guess. And he was like, oh, well, hold on. And so he told the judge that we had just came out of a match. Long story short, and not to get into any of my feelings here, I get reseated.
Mm-hmm.
They move me and another player.
They swap you and someone else from a different table.
From a different table, yeah. With similar pointage, whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's not great.
Yeah.
The pod was going to be Vile Smasher, a Thrash, Kennen, Vile Smasher, Thrash, Kennen. So somewhere in there.
Yeah, that sounds miserable.
But I think I was seat 3.
Yeah.
And I follow the judge. The judge is like, hey, this is going to be your pod. And I sit down. They had already mulliganed, first off. So they're already not super happy because, whatever. They had to change their hands. I'm pulling out my stuff to put it on the table and get ready. And I notice that I'm seat 4, first off.
Yeah, so they didn't even 3-3. It was,
Seat 4. I look over. Seat 1 is Winota.
Yeah.
Seat 2 is Rogsai. Seat 3 is Aang. And I'm seat 4. And I mulligan down to 4 cards.
And it's Bantang. So like the clone copy Bantang.
Yeah. I mulligan to 4 cards. The game gets started. And Winota does Winota things. You see that Winota's coming out next turn. Rogsai, I think it was what did they have? There was some draw engine. No, it wasn't a draw engine. It was the veto. They had played veto turn 2 or turn whatever. Anyway,
What is that?
The Conqueror, not veto, charismatic Conqueror.
Oh, so Winota had played that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Rogsai. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
my bad. Let me straighten out my story a little bit because I was frustrated. Winota does their thing. Rogsai immediately pushes.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Rogsai, and I look at Aang, and I look at Winota, and priority goes. So it's a wheel or something. Not a wheel. It's some major spell. Maybe it was I think it was a Necropotence.
Yeah.
And I look at Aang, and I'm like, do you got anything? Aang goes, I got to pass. And I'm looking at my cards, and I have like Force of Will, and it was a Force of Will and something else. And me having to Force of Will this puts me out of the game completely.
Yeah.
And I look at the table, and I go, I don't want to do this. I don't think that Rogsai is going to accept a draw here. But I'm going to show you that I have a Force of Will. And they're like, I'm not going to take the draw. I think I could play through this. I don't necessarily need Necropotence.
Yeah.
You guys don't want me to have a Necropotence. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I don't even know if I counter it. Like at this point, like maybe we should just let it happen. Aang goes, I wouldn't have accepted a draw anyway. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's cool. So I'm like, well, he's like, yeah, but you still counter this spell because you're not gonna, you have no chance if he wins here. I'm like, I don't think I have a chance either way.
Yeah. If you're not accepting a draw, I might as well keep all of my spells. Like,
So, I ended up countering it with the possibility of coming back into it somewhere. And, I was in a absolute miserable slog the whole time. It goes to Winota's turn. Winota drops the Charismatic Conqueror on turn 2.
and that goes infinite with a clone.
Oh, yeah, nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that I told the guy, I was like, I hate that card.
Yeah.
Like, that card, it is absolute, as an absolute problem.
It's one of those cards that I wish that would be banned, just because, like, it's always a problem every time it hits the board. Like, it doesn't work correctly with clones. It ruins board states. It ruins games. Like,
Rogsai was a little bit more apt to try to draw now after not getting what they needed.
yeah.
And I show Rog, I was like, with Charismatic Conqueror, even if this person doesn't draw, we could draw the game.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, yeah, but I'm not gonna bet on that right now because there's a lot of stuff that can happen in between your clone and my clone.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's 100% fair, man.
Yeah. I have gotten to the point where I don't accept ties. Like, if me and you are in a pod, I'm just going to try to tie the entire time. But other than that, like, the game state needs to be extremely unwinnable for me to tie now. Because there's been so many times where I'm like, if I top deck 2 or 3 things, I just win. So, like, no. Yeah. Like,
Well, long story short of this game, Rogsai blows himself out and dies.
with like a Final Fortune or
Something
something.
like that. He was like, I can Final Fortune and try on my next turn. Something happened. I don't even think he was countered. I think that whatever risky play he was trying to do just didn't work.
Yeah.
Aang was accumulating value very slowly, and I ended up drawing a land because I had one land pretty much the entire game.
I also my run was done pretty quickly, so I was watching this one. I didn't know that Aang was a stacks deck, and it is a stacks deck primarily now. So it was 2 stacks decks that were at the table.
It was miserable.
Yeah.
Like it got to a point where Aang was beating down Winota.
Yeah.
And Winota wasn't able to get Winota out.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Maybe I think it had died once or got countered or something crazy. I got to my turn and I looked at the Charismatic Conqueror guy and I was like, look, I can finally cast this spell. We can get this guy down and we could just draw. He goes, well, I don't know if I would draw now. I was like, whatever. So we get to it, and he has his turn. He kills Aang because I couldn't swing with any of my creatures.
Yeah. So you guys make 100 1/1 lifelink vampires.
Yeah.
And on your turn, you pass to Winota, who can swing with 100 1/1 lifelink vampires. And your deal was you would not swing the 100. You would not counter swing with your 100 1/1 vampires.
Yeah. So he swings out, kills Aang.
Yeah.
Just immediately. I go into my turn and I'm like miscalculating my mana. And I'm like, I think I could win here. And not that I was going back on the deal, because we never completely said that we were drawing there, and he wasn't really trying to anyway.
Yeah. So what had happened, because I was there and I was like fresh. So he swung with the 100. You guys had made a deal that wasn't to tie, it was to get rid of Aang. And you agreed not to counterswing. And once he had 123 life and it was your turn, you offered the draw, and he was like, well, now that I have 123 life, I don't think it's a good idea for me to draw. Like, yeah, you could swing out. You could take back the deal and swing out on me. Not saying that you would, but I have 123 life, so like
I don't care.
in that situation, I just have 23 life and then I swing on you and you die your next turn. He's like, I'm set up to win now. So I don't really want to take a tie, because we didn't agree on a tie. We just agreed on taking out Ink.
Yeah, knocking him out of the game.
Yeah.
And we had a time extension. So this is where the entire confusion happened for me.
And I'm super sharp on this because I wanted to go get some Jollibees, so I was watching with intent.
So we had a time extension. So when it was time in the round, I'm thinking to myself that we have time.
Yeah.
And I'm doing things.
Yeah.
Like I'm making actions and doing stuff to progress my board state the best possible way to pass to this guy.
Yeah. In everybody else's round 5, you're over 80 minutes by the time you're in your turn. But because you guys had an extension, I think you had like 10 more minutes or something like that.
But in something like that, not to look over and be like, okay, time is going to be running out soon.
Mm.
I had no idea when time was. And the judge was sitting there watching us.
Yeah.
Like, judge was with us.
Yeah.
And I'm doing some stuff, and then he looks up, and I'm like, well, I'm going to have to pass. He was like, well, no, this was your last
time.
Yeah, this turn. And I was like, well, you didn't tell us anything.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So I ended up drawing that one too.
So you finished the day at 9 points.
At 9 points.
Yeah. So I had a lot of very sweaty 11-point games. Not a lot, but like my 4th round was a really sweaty game. This 5th round was awful. And I'm in seat 1. So me saying seat 1, it was awful. It was awful. So I had just come off of a turn 2 win, and one of the blue farms. So it's me on seat 1. And I asked the guy what his commanders were. And this is like not to say that the guy like did anything, but more like tips for a tournament. The guy said he had 2 Piplups from Pokemon as his custom commanders. And I was like, oh, who are your commanders? And he goes, Rogthras. And I go, cool, because I see the 0 on Rog, and I look over at the other one and I see blue, and I stop looking because he said Rogthras. And then blue farm, and then blue farm. And I'm like, this is awful. And then the blue farm player that sat down in seat 3 had a friend at my seat at my round 4 and was like, are you the Rocco I've been hearing about, that one on turn 2? And I was just like, well, I was really lucky. Like, what deck can't win on turn 2 with a God Hand? I just got a God Hand. He was just like, I'm kind of afraid to be at this table. And I'm just like, yep, he's trying to set me up as a threat. I get it, but I'm in seat 1. And then another blue farm. And the 2 blue farms are actually friends too. So they're like, oh, hey, like, cool to see you at the pod. And I'm just like, oh no. Like, I'm still kind of confused at what I should be doing at this higher level of play, because I've never really been there before. Like, I've been like top 16 at like local tournaments, but never like pushing top 16 at a 200-person tournament. So I keep a fairly greedy hand. I don't really feel like just a full blowout hand where I win turn 2 or where I push turn 2 or 3 is going to work. So I'm kind of keeping like a responsible-ish hand. And I'm thinking I'm going against a Rogthras C2. It's a Rog Sai.
No, no.
And his first land was an Underground Sea. And I'm just like, what? And I look and I'm just like, oh, you're on Rog Sai. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, I could have sworn you said Rogthras. And maybe he said Rog Sai. It was a long day. But I would just say the learning that I took away from that was, if there are custom commanders, ask to see the cards if you're not 100% sure. And even if you think you're 100% sure, which I did, just look at the cards. So I was not set up to stop a Rogsai blue farm. And the blue farm, they look at each other and they're like, we're seat 3-4, let's kind of work together. So they're mulliganing for fishes, and they're feeding each other's fishes, and kind of like going like, hey, if I cast this spell, what's the likelihood that you'll let me have it? Because they know that they're not really fighting through a Rocco and a Rogsai, and they just were in a position where they could work together, and no fault to them, like they were working together like you should. And they were able to work together to where seat 4 had a bunch of cards, but seat 3 was like, I have a silence. I'm going to try. I know that you have like almost 20 cards in hand, which, I mean, he probably had like 12, but he was like, I'm going to cast the silence. If it goes through, I know I can try to win. If it doesn't, you counter it. Maybe you win. Like we've set this up to where we're off and away, and they cast a silence, and then person seat 4 is like, yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't cast it. I don't have any. And then he proceeds to Underworld Breach combo, and I was just like, honestly, like, I don't really know what to do in that situation. I know that you're not supposed to win every game, of course, but I was kind of like out of my comfort zone where I'd never been before, and I didn't really know what to do with Rocco because I can't keep up with all of the draw and the silence and all of that. I have very little interaction in that deck outside of just burning creatures away. So yeah, I didn't really know what to do, and I lost pretty quickly. And I went over and I watched Ghost's game. But at the end of the day, I was like, you're at 9 points, I'm at 11 points. We're guaranteed day 2 at a huge tournament. Like, I'm still on my high horse. We're in Dallas. Let's go get like our comfort food, which is Jollibee.
Oh, so good.
We don't have one. And there's some friends that we don't really see very often because like they live pretty far away. But we always meet up at CDH. So we invited them out to go get Jollibees with us. And, there was a giant table at Jollibees that just had nobody there. So we had like a 12-person Jollibees dinner after like a really long tournament, which, I mean, was a win for me. But now we're going into day 2, round 6. So day 2, everybody with 7 points got to go. Anybody with less than 7 points got cut, which 100 people out of 200 made day 2. So it was a half cut, but there was still, even with a half cut, 100 people at round 6, day 2, which I thought was really cool.
It was like another tournament. If we would have done more than 3 rounds,
oh yeah,
it'd have been a full another tournament.
Yeah. So you want to start with your round 6?
My round 6, I went in here. We went in the same way, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to get it early. I'm gonna try to do it. We're gonna make it happen. Get into my pod, and I'm staring at Blue Farm, Obnix.
Yeah.
Just ultimately just a rough pod for me to be in. I did end up going first, which was good. The Blue Farm that was seat 2 told the table, he's like, hey, I'm running kind of a obscure list of Blue Farm. I don't run Necro. I don't run Adnaz.
Please don't hit me.
Don't hit me. Try to hit the other one.
Yeah.
Which, when you're in a pod with an Obnix list, there's a very good chance you could be one shot.
Yeah.
So That being said, I think I'm mulligan down to like 5 cards, so I'm not really struggling, but I'm kind of in a dire situation. And turn 1 goes kind of like all turns happen. You put a land, put a fish, try to make it happen. I ended up getting wheeled turn 2 or turn 1. So I played my land, put my fish out, got a wheel. So I couldn't really keep the card I was going to get from the wheel. And then player passes. Next player was like, well, my whole plan is gone. Puts a land, passes the turn. Obnix looks at his hand, plays a land, passes. My fish, I'm looking at my hand. I have no lands.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I guess I pay for this fish. That's where we're at.
Hope to top deck a land. Yeah.
Pay for my fish, pass the turn.
Ugh. And they know at that point that if they starve you, you're just out. Yeah.
The blue farm player looks around, starts shaking. Like I can see it. Like I can see his hands are shaking. And I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah, he's going for it.
Ends up doing playing a professional facebreaker, wheeling again. I'm getting cards, but like not enough to keep.
Yeah.
And plays a Voice of Victory.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Voice of Victory wheels, keeps going.
Yeah.
Plays a Smothering Tithe.
This is his turn 2.
This is his turn 2.
Yeah.
Just with professional facebreaker starts drawing his, or like exiling the top cards of his deck.
Yeah.
Exiles a Mirror Maid.
Yeah.
Mirror Maid's his Smothering Tithe.
Yeah.
And this was my blunder. I had an Odawara that I had just enough at some point to use it for whatever reason. Maybe this was turn 3.
Yeah.
Turn 3, I had let go of fish, had an Odawara. Guy had probably like 6 treasures going into turn 3.
Yeah.
And just dominated. So I could have Odawara'd the Smothering Tithe to stop the move, but I didn't know, and I was stuck.
Like, yeah, I was about to say, like, you Odawara and you have one land. Yeah.
Cleans up the win. It was a smothering, or not smothering, a breach line.
Yeah.
Clean win. We're looking at one point, there was a Ristic study from the other blue farm, and that player was drawing every time he could.
Yeah.
So 2 treasures was getting made.
I mean, at that point, though, it's just like, well, we're a fairy mastermind away from dying.
Well, we got to a point where it was like, I don't know if I want to try to stop Blue Farm Player 1, because Blue Farm Player 2 has 30 cards in hand.
Yeah. And Blue Farm Player 1 was exiling, so they weren't like in hand, right?
No, they weren't in hand. They were wheeling. So they played wheel, windfall, and then another wheel. It was a black wheel.
Oh, Dark Deal.
Not Dark Deal.
Oh, I don't know then.
It was a silly one. It was just opponent's wheel. Like you could do any number of opponents.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
It was going to be 7-14. It was going to be like 21 treasures.
Yeah.
42 is what he was going for. But just outvalued the other blue farm player. The other blue farm player drew no counters.
Yeah.
Out of all of the stuff, I was answering stuff with like 2 lands.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, come on, help me out.
Yeah. It's like I'm not gonna keep helping just to pass and
Not only
lose.
that,
Like,
but
yeah,
I'm also burnt out. I have nothing else.
yeah,
And ended up taking that one to the chin. My only loss of this of this so far. So I was like, I couldn't expect to go undefeated. The the Blue Farm player that won was like I said, he was so excited and shaken. I was like,
yeah,
man, you got it. Like it was clean.
yeah,
I've never thought about that type of combo, but I guess it is a thing.
yeah. My round 4. So I go in knowing if I win round 4 or 5, I'm seeded for 16. Like there's not much that can go wrong. Is if I get one win, I'm top 16. Like, and then my Rocco deck is going to be looked at by a lot of creators. The podcast is going to get more eyes, and I go in, and I knew that I was going to face some pretty tough opponents because I mean, people with 2 wins and a tie, 2 wins at the very least, day 2. Like, we're looking at a tournament that had a lot of really good participants, and then I'm fighting the best of the best. I was 4th overall in the tournament for a little bit, and I was 15th going into day 2. So I knew I was going to be fighting like the best of the best. I go in, seat 1 is Timna Dargo, which played a lot of Timna Dargo, know exactly what they're doing. Seat 2 is the winner of Frenzy at the Falls. So like the other big giant tournament. And I was watching that tournament as well. And they're on Thras Vile Smasher, which for Frenzy at the Falls, they were on Rog Thras. Me, little old Rocco, with a heart full of gold, seat 3. And then seat 4 is Blue Farm. And Timna, Dargo, they're pushing. They drop. There wasn't really a lot of like going on in the first couple rounds, but Timna, Dargo, they drop a Imperial Recruiter, and they go get the little goblin that whenever it dies, they get a treasure. And I'm just like, oh no, if they're getting that, like, what's in their hand? And then they drop the artifact. It's like pyre of something that it's a birthing pod, a colorless birthing pod that if you sack a creature, you step up 1, but it has to have the same typing. And I'm like, okay, guys, he has a human. What he's going to do at some point, he's going to go get Technomancer. And the guy's like keeping his cool, but I can tell that he's just like, this guy knows what's up. So I'm like kind of telling him, I'm like, this is kind of bad. There was also, I can't remember. I was looking at my hand and I could get out Elish Norn on my turn. And I'm thinking like, well, is Deadpool a human? Because he could just go get Deadpool instead, and that would be bad for us too. So he passes to Vile Smasher, Thrasios, and Vile Smasher Thrasios has Culling Ritual. And we have tons of little dorks out on the field, tons of things for him to eat up. And I'm just like, oh, okay. This is bad. If this resolves, we're losing. Blue Farm was kind of behind. They were in seat 4, so they were like, I don't have anything. And I was like, the only thing I could have had was like silence on top of it so that they couldn't use the mana, but I don't have anything. And then Tim Nadargo is like, yeah, I'm the same as Rocco. I don't have anything. Like, only thing I can stop is blue spells, so he's kind of got free reign. Kills everything. I make a misplay. I had Dryad Arbor, and I assume that it kills all creatures, all it's all non-land permanents, but I always forget that Dryad Arbor is a land. So I should have kept my Dryad Arbor. So they got 1 extra mana from me that they shouldn't have had, which I mean wouldn't have changed the outcome. Just more of an FYI to the listeners that if there's a culling ritual and you have a Dryad Arbor, just remember Dryad Arbor is a land. It does not get removed with Cyclonic Rift. It does not get removed with culling ritual. And he gets like 8 mana, 9 mana, something crazy, and then just at that point beseeches the mirror, sacks, his artifact, just wins from there. Like very, very clean win. And I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at that game. There was nothing I could really do. There was no winning that game for me. I mean, even if I would have tried to get like a really early game turn 2 win, there was so much stop at that table. Like, I just think I would have just handed it to Tim Nadargo. Again, I'm kind of looking at the pods and I'm just like, I don't really know what I could have done. I don't feel like, even if I had like a more responsible Rocco deck, like if I had a red elemental blast in my hand, could I have stopped anything? No, So I'm just kind of like, okay, well, what's the chance that you're going to go against the winner of Frenzy at the Falls? That was a loss for you. You just got to get a win in. Round 5 is yours. You got a loss. You're going to be in a little bit less sweaty of a pod for round 5. Everybody's going to be playing for a win, of course, but that's your chance. Let's go. So you want to talk about your round 5?
Well, I didn't think we were on 5. I thought we were on 7 now.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, round 7.
I was like,
I'm used to saying round 5 is like the last round, but no, this was a 7-round tournament.
This was a huge tournament.
Yeah, so I have to get a round in round 7.
So round 7, I sit down at the table and I'm seat 4 again. No love through this.
Yeah.
Seat 1 is Terra. Seat 2 is Blue Farm. Seat 3 is Rogsai. And I'm seat 4. The Blue Farm player I know from a friend, I guess, is the best way to describe it. So he was like, hey, are you in our Discord? And I was like, yeah, I'm in your Discord.
Yeah, we watch their YouTube too.
We watch your stuff. We know Tanner quite, like we mess with him all the time. But anyway, he was like, oh, that's cool.
Same dude that helped us out with our music. Good dude.
He was like, well, here you go. So we start our game. Terra builds. I think I go down to like 6 this one, so I'm not really low. I'm doing okay.
What commanders are at your pod?
It was Terra, Blue Farm, Rogsai.
Okay. So sweaty pod, yeah.
Yeah. So Terra starts us off, starts moving. Pretty standard turn 1 all around until we get to Rogsai. And Rogsai does a crazy turn 1. I think they play probably about 8 spells or something. Gets to the end of it, goes to put a Necropotence on the stack. And the Blue Farm player goes, look, I will, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And the Rogsai's like, look, I'm just going to refill my hand. He goes, we're not doing anything crazy, huh? No win attempt here. No ripping next one. He's like, nah, I'm just going to try to refill my hand. I didn't get exactly what I needed to go. I just had a pretty good turn one. Blue Farm goes, okay. So I play my turn, going into my turn, put out a couple of rocks and a colored land, so like tropical. Going into turn 2, Terra ends up dropping. I think Terra ended up casting Terra, and no, with the whole entire thing that they had going, Blue Farm puts up a bunch of key pieces.
Yeah.
And I'm looking and I'm like, guys, I don't think Blue Farm has it now, but soon.
Yeah. A win needs to come out of this pod, and it looks like it's going to be Blue Farm. Like,
Blue Farm ends up playing a Squelcher, like casually at their last spell. They're like, here's a Squelcher. And I'm like, okay, well,
yeah.
I relook at my hand, and I have another colored mana. I have a treasure vault and a basalt monolith in my hand. I'm thinking
We're
getting there. And Roxai does a modest like land, rips like 4 or 5 cards, nothing crazy. Going into my turn, I play a few spells. Put my land first, which was the treasure vault.
Yeah.
And I had just enough mana to cast Kinnan and cast Basalt. And the Blue Farm player looks at my board and goes, "What are we doing, man?" I was like, "Not a whole lot.
Just cute things."
He's like, "What's your next spell?" Or he goes, "What's your plan? What's your plan? How many spells are you casting?" I was like, "I really only want to cast one more spell this turn." He's like, "It's Basalt."
Yeah.
I was like, that's true. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm wanting to cast Basalt. And Rogsai goes, "I have a pact." I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
I was like, "You'll blow yourself out here, though." He's like, "Yeah. I don't want to use it."
Yeah,
I do.
A tie does nobody any good here. Yeah.
I have it, and I have a Basalt, or not a Basalt, a Mindbreak Trap, but he's only cast one spell. So Blue Farm goes, "I don't have any counters here." And I looked at Terra, and Terra was quiet the entire time. And I was like, oh no. And Terra goes, "I have something." And they're like, I have a counter, and I have a culling ritual. Or culling ritual destroys all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, well, to be honest with you, I'm really scared to pass to Blue Farm.
Yeah.
I was going to try, but I can Scout's Honor, get something to deal with this.
Yeah. If you're casting a culling ritual with a counter backup, it'll get rid of the hexing sculpture. So maybe I stop here.
And they were like, "Well, I don't want Basalt on the field. If you do Basalt, I will counter it." I'm like,
fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You're gonna blow me out, and I'm not gonna be able to play my Basalt with the cards I have in hand at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm cool with this. I'll put this spell on the stack, which was like another rock or something, but it was a higher end.
Yeah, like a 3-cost one.
I
Yeah.
don't even think it was a rock. I think it was it was nothing. It was just a spell I could cast, and I passed. Tara draws a card and goes, "Oh." And we had agreed that Tara just coloring ritual the board and pass.
Yeah.
And I was like, they were like, I could push here. And it's like, but that wasn't the deal.
Yeah. And there's a pact and there, yeah.
So Tara was like, fair enough. Blew the board out. Blue Farm's out. Like, only has a couple of cards now on the field. Rogsai really didn't have anything but a Necropotence anyway. And most of my board is gone. I think I have one creature, which wasn't like a farming ability. It was more of
It wasn't enduring vitality.
something like that. Maybe it was enduring, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like, it was something that I was trying to get value from, but I didn't have enough to do it. They pass. Blue Farm sets up really nice for the next turn again. And I'm like, Blue Farm must have a hand.
Yeah.
And Rogsai is looking at Blue Farm, and it's like, look, like I can counter you. Blue Farm's like, well, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Goes through it. Rogsai blows out their stuff. The Blue Farm player goes to cast a Underworld Breach, and I'm holding Deflecting Shoal, Disrupting Shoal,
yeah.
And I'm like, look, man, I can counter you here. And he was like, well, if you counter me, there's not going to be a winner in the pod. And I was like, you don't know that.
Yeah.
I counter you here. You pass to that person. If that person passes, I got a turn.
Yeah.
Is it a long shot? Of course.
Yeah.
But I have win on my turn.
Is it up to Rogsai actually, like, not just going for 10 minutes? Yeah.
And we had a big discussion at some point about playing with a purpose at this pod, because we were all out of it without a win.
Yeah.
So
even with a win, maybe
probably
not.
not.
Yeah.
Nobody had enough to be like, this person will definitely make it.
Yeah.
So Blue Farm gets blown out, gets a pact from a demonic consultation, and was like, pass.
Yeah.
And Rogsai goes into getting pieces to a win, but not enough to do anything, and was like, you know what? I'm going to pass. If you got it, you got it. So I show that I can do it. On Rogsai's turn, I used a Veil of Summer, which gave me a
Mox Diamond
active. And I was like, all right, we're here. I can do it for sure here. I can cast everything and have my Treasure Vault open with Basalt, and we're good. They were like, yep, you got it. And I was like, cool. And I was really high on it going in, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah. You finished at 14 points. I think 16 was. There was one person with 15 that went through, and it was 16. So I'm going into round 5, and I still am like, I have the best win rate out of the 11s, or opponent win rate out of the 11s. My opponents went on to do really good things. You know, I'm beating really good people. Round 5's my chance, and I look at the pod makeup, and I'm not going to say I gave up right away, but it was seat 1. One of our friends that plays all around the country has won multiple top 4s. Seat 2, exact same thing. One of our friends that plays in kind of like where our original CDH stomping grounds was, I think he has like 100 tournaments under his belt or something crazy like that. Like
It's a lot.
top 1,000 ranked, you know.
I think he's in the top 100.
Yeah, I like that's being, yeah, like I have two people that are top 1,000 ranked. Seat 2 probably within the top 100. Little old Rocco with his heart full of gold. Seat 3, and then seat 4, Blue Farm. Seat 1 was Timna Dargo. Seat 2, Blue Farm. Seat 3, Rocco. Seat 4, Blue Farm. So I've had quite a day. Timna Dargo is just playing like they're keeping up with Blue Farm, who's drawing a bunch of cards like very impressively without blue. They play Adelny, they have an Esper. They're just drawing cards. They're getting Timna pings, and you know it. They're doing it. Seat 2 Blue Farm, really pushing, getting a lot of value, playing a lot of really smart spells, building a lot. And there is a time where seat 4 Blue Farm kind of shows that they have a op agent, because seat 2 Blue Farm cracks a land and they're like, oh, I might have a response. So we're either thinking that he's faking an op agent or he has one. And Blue Farm in seat 2 drops a Ristic Study. And I go, okay, on the Ristic Study, I got to do this before I feed him more. And I very responsibly play an Enlightened Tutor. And the moment I play the Enlightened Tutor, I haven't tapped my mana yet, seat 4 slams down their op agent. And I'm just like, oh my dude, are you really hitting my Enlightened Tutor with an op agent? I can guarantee you I don't have anything that you want. Like, I understand that you need to drop it. And in my head, I'm thinking, like, it's better that I don't feed the Ristic, because if I cast this over the Ristic after it resolves, we're giving Blue Farm 2 draws if he does play Op Agent. If he hits my Enlightened Tutor, I know he has an Op Agent. Better to hit my Enlightened Tutor than hit my Rocco. And he's just like, yep, I'm playing it. And I'm just like, I can guarantee you I don't have anything in my deck that you'd want. I'm really just trying to get back in the game, because like seat 1 and 2, they're far and away winning. Me and you need to like partner up, because we should not be fighting, you know, like in where we're at. And he's just like, nope, I played it. I want your deck. And I'm like, are you looking for a Lion's Eye Diamond? Because, you know, if you're trying to Underworld Breach with my Lion's Eye Diamond, it won't work. It'll go to my graveyard. You won't be able to cast again. You know, I can guarantee you I'm not getting Food Chain with a Ristic Study out. Like, I'm just trying to get back in this game. And he's not hearing it, and I get it. I mean, it's an Enlightened Tutor. He goes through my library and looks at my hand, and I have a Treasonous Ogre and a Silence. And I'm like, I can guarantee you if you get something scary, that Silence is going at you. Yeah. So he's looking through my library, and he's just like, you don't run Smothering Tithe? And I went, oh man, I'm Rocco. Like, that's too big of a card for me. You know, and he's just like, oh man, I was hoping to get a Smothering Tithe. Then I'd kind of be back in this game. And I was like, I tried to ask you multiple times what you were getting. And I told you I really didn't have anything that you'd want. And he's upset that I didn't have a Smothering Tithe. So he puts down my deck and then picks his deck up and starts going through it and drops a Necropotence on the field. And we're all like, what are you doing, man? And he's just like, I'm sorry. I saw the Enlightened Tutor. For a split second, I kind of thought that I stole the Enlightened Tutor. I went and got my own Necropotence because there was nothing in his deck that I wanted. And we're like, we gotta call a judge. Like you just went through your deck. So we call a judge. Judge issues a game state warning. He has to shuffle. They say randomize your library, but shuffle his library, and then he goes back to my deck, and he's still just like, oh man, what a terrible op agent. And I'm like, yeah. Like, and he pulls out a Soul Ring, and I go to my turn. I can't Rocco anymore. Most of my deck is shut off. I can't really tutor. I have the silence. I kind of look at everything, and I top deck a Kiki-Jiki. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, I guess I send it. I don't really have anything to do with a Kiki-Jiki, but it'll give me 2 blockers for Tymna, and I have 3 Tymna decks, that are looking at me. So I play the Tristan Ogre, and everybody's like, hey, what are you doing with that? And I was like, I'll make you a deal. Let's say I have one card. I have one card in hand. Let's say that's Kiki-Jiki. What do I do with a Kiki-Jiki here? And then they're like, oh, that's fair enough. And I'm like, cool. So I'm going to go down 15 life and play Kiki-Jiki. and they're like, oh no. And then I'm like, and unfortunately, I'm going to pass. And, to be fair, if that op agent didn't hit, I was probably going to push a win. I don't think I would have gotten it through, but, it is what it is. I would much rather have an Enlightened Tutor hit than Rocco. So Blue Farm goes, they play my Soul Ring. They're out of it. They didn't really have a great hand. Tim Nadargo starts going. And they're fighting. Seat 1 and 2 are fighting between each other. It's like tooth and nail. Once Tim Nadargo kind of sees that Blue Farm has enough to stop them, they kind of jack out of committing, and they're just like, I'm gonna go value, throw some Tymna triggers around, fill up their hand again. We pass to Blue Farm. Blue Farm clearly has everything they need. They have an Esper, a Fish, and a Rhystic Study.
Dang.
And I'm like, okay, guys, like, in his upkeep, I do have a Silence. I cast a Silence. I can't pay for any of it, or I can pay for one of it, and then he draws 2. Because I wasn't willing to go down enough to die with combat. So I was like, I'm going to show this to the table. Clearly we're not going to tie, but if I cast this and he draws 2 cards, is my turn safe? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay. Cast the Silence on his upkeep. He's like, okay. Draws the 2 cards. Doesn't have an answer for the Silence. He's like, well, I don't really have an answer for the Silence, but I can flash out the Otter, the Flash Otter. I always forget its name. Valley Flood Color. And he's just like, cool, Silence resolves. Goes to combat, draws a couple cards, passes to me. I'm just hoping a prayer for a Feldalar Guardian. I draw a card. It's like a land or something, completely inconsequential. I did what I could do. I pass. Blue Farm, they take their turn. Not really able to do much. They keep all their mana up. And I was just like, hey, I'm kind of afraid of these 2. I'd like to try to work with you again. We're seat 3 and 4. I would be willing to let Tymna in. You get some life, and then you get a card draw if you show me your hand. He's like, I really want to show you my hand. And I'm just like, we need to work together. We're going to lose. And he's just like, I don't really want to show you my hand. And I was just like, okay, fair. I can't really let Tim in then, I'm sorry. And he's just like, yeah, and passes his turn. It's seat 1's turn again. And Tim Nadargo plays Deadpool, takes a copy of Op Agent. So now they can tutor as much as they want. They put a tutor on the stack, and Blue Farm is like, I got an answer for it, and plays the 2 white pip Silence. That's a creature on one side, a Silence on the other.
Oh man.
I always forget. But
Yeah.
yeah, they play a 2-cost silence, and like in my head, I can't really do anything. But in my head, I'm just like, ooh, them having a silence is really bad. They have a Valley Flood color, but I'm just like, we're at a position where only 2 counter spells do anything here, because if we counter the silence, uh, Tim Dargo is going to win. If we counter the tutor, I feel like Blue Farm's going to win. I'd be willing to risk it that Blue Farm didn't win, but they have a silence. So we're really in a situation where only 2 silences gets us out of it. And Blue Farm's like, yeah, I don't have anything. They let the silence go through. Everybody passes on the silence. And then Blue Farm kind of gives a little smirk to the table, and they're like, okay, back on the tutor. Underworld Breach. Lotus Petal. They brain freeze themselves. I think like Storm was 6 or something like that. They don't get LED. So they're like, okay, exile for Lotus Petal. Exile 3 more for Lotus Petal. Brain freeze again. Still no LED. Do it again at flash speed. And then finally they get LED, and they're mostly down on their library. And they swords the op agent that had been Deadpooled. And it was funny because everybody's like, well, why are you doing that? And I was just like, not that we can really do anything about it, but this guy has 5 mana up. The 3-cost ability that's on that op agent now is everybody draws a card. So like he's taking it out right now so that when he has to go down pretty far to get whatever combo he's doing, we can't draw him out and force him to lose and then go back to the tutor, and then Tim Nadargo probably has it.
Wins,
yeah. And the guy was just like, I never would have thought about that. And then the guy that's next to me is just like, shut up. But he removes it, which was smart. And then he proceeds to win it. It wouldn't have mattered at the end of the day, because I think he was lucky enough to where he only had to go down to his last 2 cards. So 1 card wouldn't have made a difference. And then he proceeds to... Can't remember. Oh, he's doing it all at flash speed. I can't remember, but he wins at flash speed there. He gets really low. Mills everybody else out because he has 2 cards. Mills everybody else out, and then puts a draw on the stack with like Fairy Mastermind or something like that. So we lose. I at the end of the day finished with 11. So I finished 41st. You finished 21st.
Yeah.
I won. I went win, tie, win, lose, 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 lose. So it was pretty obvious that once I got to the higher level of play, I wasn't able to keep up. I wasn't super comfortable in those 4 rounds. If I would have gotten 1 win, I could have gotten to top 16. But honestly, if I would have been in top 16, I don't think I would have gotten any farther, because the competition was immaculate, like really good. I'm used to kind of catching somebody in a mistake, and then I take advantage of that mistake and push to win. There were no mistakes, once I got to the higher level of play. I'm not too sure that Rocco will take me higher anymore. I'm gonna try a little bit more responsible build on Rocco, where I actually run Red Elemental Blast and maybe a second silence. I've kind of tweaked the list. Once I was done, I was kind of thinking about it on the ride back, and I changed 8 cards after the ban announcement. I didn't want to think too hard because we were going into immediate tournament's over. Tomorrow is ban
Possible
announcement.
bans, yeah.
So once the ban announcement was done, I kind of tweaked some things. I've yet to be able to practice with it. I think I do need to make a blue deck. I do really like food chain decks, so I think Marlin is going to be the next thing I try. I'm also kind of messing around with a super greedy deck with Dina, the Soul Steeper. We'll see. But that is it for my tournament experience. What was your kind of like final thoughts?
Um, I drew a lot, even up into the final day.
Yeah.
Getting
You had 4 draws, 2 wins, 1 loss.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I only really lost one game. The last game was a little sketchy. I mean, it could have been anybody's game because at the end of the day, it was going into time. I think that Kenan performed pretty well. I like the list. I did end up getting a signed Timna. It kind of makes me want to
Yeah.
build Blue Farm again. Um, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, there were artists at that event that I did not expect, and we went in, and I'd been talking about for the longest time how I wanted to sign Timlin. It didn't seem like the Timna artist was doing conventions, and then just out of nowhere, like 3 months ago, they started again. So I was just like, I looked at them, and I immediately ran over to one of the places to buy a card, and I was like, "You guys have a Timna?" And they're like, "Here," and I was like, "It's mine. Give it to me."
Yeah,
And we both got a signed Timno, which is really cool. And you got your flash photography signed.
it was funny because we were standing in line, and I was like looking around. I'm like, that's flash photo. I have that in my deck right now. So I ended up getting a flash photography as well done. Like I said, I really like Kenan. I thought the tournament was uber fun. I wouldn't have.
One of the best tournaments I've ever been at. I mean, like, you know, I got to play a bunch of really good people, and my elo went up quite a bit, which was really cool. Like,
Yeah, I mean, just super fun. I mean, it's always good to see everybody because it seemingly everybody within 100-mile radius was at this tournament.
yeah, and like
And,
lots of really good players too. Yeah,
yeah, no, the top 16 was flush. Like I ended up looking and noticing that, you know, I guess that's one of the key takeaways. I'll make that point real quick. We play a lot of these players at tournaments that we go to and have conversations with these people, people. And I don't necessarily look up people's, ranking,
yeah.
but I was like, man, we know.
We know multiple people in the top 100 players. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's like, whoa. So it was humbling because obviously we'll have conversation, be like, so and so person is a really good player. I don't
yeah.
like it. Good person, good player.
And we've never really like focused on elo too much. Like now that we've had so many tournaments in the last like couple months, I mean weeks too, but we've kind of tracked it internally just for fun in our local group. And after the tournament, not to brag on you too much, but you're top 10% of all players on Top Deck, and I'm top 15%, which I thought was really cool.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's not top 10%. You're 9.999%.
I'm one of my goals for this year was to get into the 3 digits.
Yeah, and you got there,
and I got there out of this one. It's really anybody's game sometimes, though, so you don't really know.
Yeah,
I will say, on our ride back, we were having conversations of being like, well, how does such and such get to this point? And you're like, duh, they have triple the amount of tournaments we play. I was like, oh,
and I mean, they're triple the amount of tournaments that we've played, but they are a insanely skilled player because they have that experience behind them. I will say this is the first time I've gotten into a tournament and I was just like, I don't know what to do. But I mean, the fact that I can be like, I'm top 15% with little old Rocco, like I don't really play like the meta decks, so I'm pretty happy with my ranking. I think I do need to start playing a little bit more blue and black. Am I going to go into a meta deck? Probably not. I'm still going to try to take Rocco all the way, but we have a local tournament that's a little bit smaller. That's probably a good place to like testing grounds, some new decks, and I don't know. I do like my elo being a little bit high, but maybe I try a sillier deck at the smaller tournament. I don't know. Like,
For me, I think that I'm gonna go tried and true. I made a couple of adjustments. One of the key pieces here, if you play Kennen, is Dizzy Spell. I get it. I know what it does. I know why it does. I just don't like it. So I switched it out for another card, and we'll see if that does any better.
was it Nezahal?
Yeah, it's more my
so
player.
like a 1 cost for a 7 cost, which I mean is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Better card quality overall.
Ultimately, I would see myself holding Dizzy Spell in my hand, which I probably should immediately get rid of and try to get Mystic Remora. But
I think the argument for it is you have 2 Mystic Remoras, but do you really want to cast a Mystic Remora that costs 4? I don't know. Yeah, because it's 3 blue and 1 at the end of the day. So
a lot of those answers are yes, though.
yeah,
Like at the end of the day, that's kind of why it's there.
my cat says yes. If you guys heard it.
However, I just like Nezahal better.
Yeah, Nezahal was in
also
Hashton. I love it. Like,
it also synergizes well with endurance loops.
yeah,
So I can, drop cards from my hand. But that's pretty much my experience of the tournament. If you're sitting on the fence about playing a big one, I would highly recommend you do it. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day.
I mean, there are people at all skill levels. I don't really claim to be high skill just because we kind of just tour locally. But I mean, there were people that brought one of the guys that we were talking to. They brought I think it was Jin from the PlayStation Ghost of Sakashima Secret Lair, and they ended up being like 8th or something like that. Like, yeah. I mean, there were all kinds of decks, like Daryl from The Walking Dead. There was a lot of different stuff there. So I mean, I would say by no means, if you see a big tournament, go like, oh well, I can't keep up with the big boys, I'm not going to enter. Like, go have fun. Kind of know that you might not make day 2, but I mean, still the experience, you got to get it somewhere. It was a lot of fun, and it was also kind of crazy because I think me and you have done like 40 tournaments now. About
It's pushing 30-ish, 35.
Yeah, 30, 35. This was the first time that I was like, I don't know what to do against players of this skill level. And for me to be able to say that at 35-ish tournaments under my belt is kind of crazy. So it was a great experience. Really fun. Would definitely go into the Boil in March.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people from this winter going there. Just a lot of things to look forward to with CDH.
Also, kind of what's happening in the tournament world. These organizers are becoming acquaintances, friends. I wouldn't say colleagues. That's kind of more of a business thing. But
I mean, they're seeing people are coming out. Like,
and just to know, these small businesses. I know that one of the shops in Dallas was kind of a local shop, and now is pretty known. Like,
I mean,
it does a lot.
If you're showing up on the top page of X Store Presents, that's better advertisement than money can buy.
Yeah, and that they should be. There's a lot of players at that shop that were in the top 20 players, 25 players. But yeah, that's my take on it. I had a blast. I think we'll have one for the Boil. We're going to the Boil, so I'm always excited to go to New Orleans. So it'll be a fun time.
I mean, also we have a big tournament under our belt now, so we'll be able to kind of be a step up if we do get those early wins again and go like, oh, okay, like I know what's expected of me in higher rounds, and it's either slip in real quick maybe or have a more responsible deck, which good to know. Yeah. All right, I think that's it for us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the podcast. If you did, please leave a comment, rate us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I really want to soup up my CDH deck, after this I'm going to TCG Player, just please remember our link tree. And if you click our link, no cost to you, really helps out the podcast. And honestly, just listening, commenting, supporting us, hanging out with us in the Discord, cheering us on while we're at these tournaments and live tweeting our rounds. Everything you guys do makes a big impact. So thank you a lot.
Yeah, thank you guys. We appreciate you.
All right, see ya. Bye.
Bye.